We're kicking off today with SmackDown, and it wasn't long until Solo Sikoa and Paul Heyman interrupted them. Interestingly, it was clear that Sikoa and Heyman weren't on the same page, with speculation growing that Solo could turn on Reigns, who made his entrance by himself. After clips of Roman being his most despicable were shown, the WWE Universal Champion would say that he didn't need this and placed the lei necklace on Jey, confirming him as the new tribal chief. Reigns even tossed the Universal title away and took to his knees in front of Jey, but the tearful Roman was merely sucking Jey in for a monumental low blow. From there, Jey would be forced to watch as Reigns and Sikoa destroyed Jey USO, and after Jey was attacked himself, Jey was taken to a nearby hospital later in the show. After the beatdown of the Usos, Sikoa picked up the lei of Reigns, but seemed hesitant to hand it over, and never got the chance before Jey attacked the pair. There was a subtle tease that Sikoa was considering himself for the role. Once again, the Bloodline story proved to be a highlight of SmackDown, and while Sikoa may be on the side of his cousin for now, there'll be a time when his loyalty is tested. But what did you think of the trial of Roman Reigns, and where do you see this angle going from here? Let us know in the comments down below. SmackDown also saw US Champion Austin Theory retain against Sheamus, once again thanks to the assistance of Pretty Deadly. While Sheamus was able to fend off Kit Wilson and Elton Prince, their distraction proved to be the opportunity Theory needed, who retained with a roll-up and a handful of tights. Theory has had an interesting time with the gold, as his second reign as champion began last November at Survivor Series, and his reign is the longest US title reign in close to a decade. Working with the likes of Sheamus, Rey Mysterio, and Seth Rollins, Theory has been working with some big names, but many fans feel his reign as champion has been something of an afterthought. With Vince McMahon running WWE again, it's believed that the future is bright for Theory, but what do you think WWE should do with him after this week's victory? After a recap of SmackDown moments in Madison Square Garden, Grayson Waller hosted an episode of The Grayson Waller Effect just days following his collision in London with John Cena. SmackDown saw Waller welcome another legend, that being Edge, who fans will know has a lot of history with the world's most famous arena. Despite this being a talk show, Waller decided that his guests didn't need to speak and instead announced on Edge's behalf that the Canadian was retiring, to the shock of the fans. Edge was quick to refute the claim, instead saying that his announcement is that Waller would be making his in-ring debut for SmackDown on the show against none other than Edge himself. Edge said that this would be a sink-or-swim moment for Waller, whose presentation was similar to how he was in NXT, and the WWE Hall of Famer seemed taken aback at times by Grayson's offense. The story with this was that Edge had never seen someone quite like Waller, which is a huge feather in the cap for the Australian, but Edge was still able to defeat Waller, pinning him after a spear. Post-match, Edge grabbed the mic and said that Waller swam in a sign of respect to the young superstar who came across as a major potential star despite losing the match to Edge. Over the past week, Grayson Waller has shared the ring with John Cena and Edge, two of the biggest stars ever, and while both incidents would end with Waller getting attacked, the future is very bright for the Australian superstar. Up next was a quick match between Karrion Kross and AJ Styles, continuing their feud, which frankly feels somewhat aimless all these months later. This match was shorter than expected, with Styles getting the victory, though given that Kross is dealing with some kind of leg injury, that may be the reason for the short match. Whatever the reason, the fact that Kross has taken yet another loss is hardly going to help his future prospects on WWE TV, as his return to the company seems to have been a real dud so far. When he returned last year, rumors circulated of a feud with Roman Reigns, but that certainly isn't going to be happening now, and what would you do with Kross and Scarlett if you were running creative? SmackDown also saw the reign of Women's Universal Champion Asuka continue, but given what we saw on the Blue brand, her run as champion may not be for long. On the show, Asuka was attacked by Bianca Belair, still mad over losing the Raw Women's title at Night of Champions in May, and it wouldn't be long until Charlotte Flair got involved. Just as it looked like Asuka was taking control though, Miss Money in the Bank Io Sky arrived to take out the champion, and interestingly, Bayley was eager to help her damage control ally. Given all the tension between the two, which included the pair turning on each other at Money in the Bank, it's a unique choice for the pair to seemingly be back, prevented the cash-in happening, and that meant that Sky remains with the Money in the Bank briefcase for now. It's been reported that the plan for SummerSlam is a triple threat between Asuka, Belair, and Flair, and who do you expect to see leave the biggest party of the summer as Universal Women's Champion? And SmackDown finished as it began with Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa, and we couldn't help but notice a bit of the Shield's theme song where the Tribal Chief was in the main event. Accidental botch or something more, the segment continued with Jey USO coming out on his own to attack his cousin in Sikoa, looking more fired up than ever before. Declaring that he is going to get Reigns, the segment ended with Jey holding the undisputed WWE Universal Championship, all while a quietly raging Reigns watched on from the stage. It had been rumored prior to SmackDown that Reigns vs. Jey USO was the plan for SummerSlam, and with Jimmy being attacked, everything is falling in place for Jey's shot at the top singles title. This match will almost certainly be headlining the biggest party of the summer, and while it's unlikely that Jey will be ending the Tribal Chief's historic reign, it'll still be an excellent story-driven match. The Bloodline storyline has proven to be a hit with fans for years, and this latest development is no exception. And what do you want to see in the weeks between now and SummerSlam? Make sure to let us know in the comments down below. And we're ending today with even more from SmackDown, as the show wasn't quite over for the fans inside Madison Square Garden once the cameras stopped rolling. After the show went off the air, Jey could be seen staring down Reigns while the Tribal Chief watched on at the stage. It appears that some fans wanted to make their views on Reigns very clear, as on the stage, Reigns stopped and tried to intimidate the booing fans, but decided to leave. This was all going on as Jey was celebrating in the ring, while the fans sang along with his theme song, something that we saw at Money in the Bank last week in London. The last time Jey USO took on Roman Reigns for the Universal title was inside Hell in a Cell 2020, and that match saw Reigns come out on top and Jey fall in line and acknowledge his cousin. Now main event Jey is getting another shot at the gold, and no matter the result, expect Jey to give it his all, as we saw during and after this week's SmackDown.